Welcome back to this week's Temp Tech video. Today we take a look at the top 5 technology breakthroughs of 2020. Carbon explosion. New research out of the University of Exeter reveals that global warming of just 2 degrees would lead to around 230 billion tons of carbon being released into the world's soil. Global soil contains 2 to 3 times more carbon than the atmosphere, and rising temperatures speed up the decomposition of soil, reducing the amount of time that carbon spends in it. The response of soil carbon to climate change is the greatest area of uncertainty in understanding the carbon cycle in climate change projections. This is because of a so-called positive feedback, which is when climate change causes knock-on effects that contribute to further climate change. To address this uncertainty, the researchers used a new combination of observational data and Earth system models, which simulate the climate and carbon cycle and subsequently makes climate change predictions. The new international research study, led by the University of Exeter, reveals a sensitivity of soil carbon turnover to global warming and halves the uncertainty about this in future climate change projections. The study estimates 230 billion tons of carbon would be released at 2 degrees global warming. This is more than 4 times the total emissions from China and more than double the emissions from the USA over the last 100 years. The study reduces the uncertainty surrounding warming predictions to around 50 billion tons of carbon. Co-author Professor Peter Cox of Exeter's Global Systems Institute said, "We have reduced the uncertainty in this climate change response, which is vital to calculating an accurate global carbon budget and successfully meeting the Paris Agreement targets." Zero emissions air travel. Australia's newly released technology roadmap, which sees hydrogen as a fuel of the future, has coincided neatly with the release by Airbus of 3 concepts for the world's first hydrogen-powered, zero-emission commercial aircraft, which could enter service in the next 15 years. Airbus says the concepts each represent a different approach to achieving zero-emission flight, exploring various technology pathways and aerodynamic configurations in order to support the Airbus ambition of leading the way in decarbonising the entire aviation industry. All of these concepts rely on hydrogen as a primary source of power, an option which Airbus believes holds exceptional promise as a clean aviation fuel and is likely to be the solution for aerospace and many other industries to meet their climate-neutral targets. This is a historic moment for the commercial aviation sector as a whole, and we intend to play a leading role in the most important transition this industry has ever seen, says Guilherme Fauri, Airbus CEO. Hydrogen fuel is a zero-emission fuel burned with oxygen. It can be used in fuel cells or internal combustion engines. The majority of hydrogen, which is around 95%, is produced from fossil fuels by steam reforming or particle oxidation of methane and coal gasification. Only a small quantity of hydrogen fuel is produced through alternate routes such as biomass gasification, electrolysis of water, or solothermochemistry, which is a solar fuel with zero carbon emissions. To effectively reduce their carbon footprint to zero, the Airbus team should aim to source their hydrogen gas from this type of production chain. SHANEL. In the future, a person in need of an organ transplant may no longer require a donor, but instead have a new organ printed for them. The medical world came one step closer to this reality with the development of SHANEL, a technique that allows scientists to peer inside the human body with unprecedented clarity by making organs transparent. SHANEL is part of a decade-long scientific endeavor to perfect optical clearing, which is the rendering of various structures and tissues of an organ see-through to better understand how they work. This could, in turn, help scientists create 3D printed organs that are ready for human patients. SHANEL stands for Small Michel-Mediated Human Organ Efficient Clearing and Labeling, a complex term that involves laser scanning microscopes, deep learning algorithms, and a cocktail of chemicals that seep into human tissues to map their inner workings. In addition to dyeing various structures in the organ, the chemicals also change how light behaves with the tissue, allowing it to pass through rather than refract. Most importantly, this can be done without slicing into an organ. It remains intact while also giving researchers a glimpse of the inside. Going forward, SHANEL's curators hope to eventually provide cellular and molecular mapping of whole adult human organs, including the human brain. The fifth force of nature. Physicists have long known of the four fundamental forces of nature: gravity, electromagnetism, the strong nuclear force, and the weak nuclear force. Now, they may have evidence of a fifth force. The discovery of the fifth force of nature could help explain the mystery of dark matter, which is proposed to make up around 85% of the universe's mass. It could also pave the way for a unified fifth force theory, one that joins together electromagnetic, strong, and weak forces as a manifestation of one grander and more fundamental force. The new findings build upon a study published in 2015, which offer the first hint of a fifth force. In the study, a team of physicists at Hungary's Institute for Nuclear Research were looking for a dark photon, which are hypothetical particles believed to carry dark matter. To catch a glimpse of these strange forces at work, the team used a particle accelerator to shoot particles through a vacuum tube at high speeds. The goal was to observe the way isotopes decay after being thrust into high energy states. Anomalies in the way these particles could behave, which suggests that the presence of an unknown force was there. The discovery of the fifth force of nature would provide a glimpse into the dark sector, which in the general describes the yet unobservable forces that can't be readily discovered by the standard model. Strangely, these subatomic particles in this hidden layer of our universe hardly interact with any part of the observable particles in the standard model. Genetically engineered moths. Alternative, biologically based approaches for pest management are sorely needed, and one approach is to use genetically engineered insects. On January 29, a team of scientists released genetically engineered diamondback moths, which are designed so that when the new male mates with a female, the female offspring won't survive the caterpillar stage, effectively decreasing the population. The reason for the experiment is to reduce the amount of unwanted pests, who are an estimated cause of loss of about $4 to $5 billion worth of crops every year, including cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and canola. Trials for the controlled strain were conducted at Cornell University and revealed a potential solution to a global, multi-billion-dollar agricultural pest. Professor Anthony M. Shelton explains that the moths are a product of research built upon a sterile insect technique for managing insects that was developed back in the 1950s, resulting in a more efficient method of pest control. This research provides promising results for the implementation of a biologically based pest control method. And that's it for this week's Temp Tech video. Please remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, check out our socials, and head over to our online store, and we will see you in the next one.